Land goes back in the Conrads back to 1778, maybe even past that.
But that's the records you could find,
yes,
at least.
the records that we could find, exactly.
Wow.
So we're 10 generations on the same spot.
I'm jealous of my children. You know, it's just wonderful. They're dirty all the time. Well, no, it's just amazing.
And the good stuff they get to eat too.
Huh.
So when we got the cow, we felt like real farmers then. Like chickens are one thing, but a big animal with horns.
Yeah.
We have tried to go through and think about the landscaping we have that just was here. Like, is it serving a purpose? Is it helping us? And if it's not, we're getting rid of it and replacing it with something that can raise an animal or grow something we can eat.
Okay, so we're at a really fun spot today, the Conrad Family Farm, and this is Kerri and Garrett, and you guys have not just a unique farm, but a lot of lineage right here.
Yes.
So tell me what's so special about your guys' place?
Right, so this is Garrett's family land and house. So the house was built in 1870, and so our children are the 7th generation to be in the house. The land goes back in the Conrads back to 1778, maybe even past that.
But that's the records you could find,
Yes,
at least.
the records that we could find, exactly.
Wow.
So we're 10 generations on the same spot. It used to be 640 acres, went all the way to the main road, and we're down to 3. So we're doing a lot on just 3 acres.
3 acres?
3 acres, that's it.
Just under 3 acres.
Yeah, and it includes the house and all
Wow.
that.
And all of that land got sold to development. I saw, when we were coming in here, we saw Suburbia.
Yes.
Just throw them up houses. Of course, this area is one that people like to move to, and a lot of people seem to be kind of like flocking to the Winston-Salem, kind of Greensboro area. When did all of that start happening, that development?
Well, I mean, your uncle developed, or great uncle developed a lot of it.
Okay.
But the big push to come out here has happened in the last 8 years, and
Yeah.
you know, it's just the cost of living and desirable, and I think a lot of other places don't want to be where they are, that they've created and made the world rough for them. And there's good jobs and there's good climate. You know, we've got the mountains and the sea, and
Yeah.
it's a good place to be. So that's the push now. But you know, my uncle developed the land right down here. It's the first development that they did in the 60s. Because, you know, people just wanted to move out and be in the country, and so he made a modern development right there.
Yeah.
You know,
Thought he was helping people out, I assume.
well, he made money too. He wanted to
Yeah.
make money. That's how he made money, was a developer.
Okay.
And that's also helped sell some of our property as well.
So did you inherit the 3 acres?
No, we bought a little bit. We
Okay.
bought out the other heirs. You know, that's
Okay.
what happens. All the land is, you know, for 10 generations, it's been split and
Split
split
and
and split
Yeah.
and split. So obviously it gets smaller and smaller.
Yeah, that's interesting. So with the land being split over so many generations, it's so amazing and really cool to say we've been here for now 7 generations, probably longer.
Yeah.
You said over
10 on the land,
10 on
7
the
in the
land.
house.
So how do you keep that going if things just keep getting split and split
Right.
and split?
Yeah, I mean, at 3 acres, I can't imagine it getting split anymore.
Yeah.
You know, so we're definitely hoping that one of our kids wants to live here, hopefully be a farm, and keep it going. I mean, that was what inspired us to beginning with, is it was going to be auctioned off. And we lived about 1.5 miles down the road in a regular house in a regular neighborhood, and we were so sad to see it be sold that we decided to buy it. We weren't even going to live here. We were just going to keep it and fix it up. Maybe
a
our
bed
kids
breakfast
would want to live here, or maybe it'd be a bed and breakfast or a museum. But we weren't going to live here, and we didn't farm or anything then. But we just got the house just to keep it in the family. And then we cleaned it all out and opened the windows up and let it breathe, and kind of got inspired to turn it back into a family farm that it used to be. That was our inspiration.
You guys bought the 3 acres.
Yep.
From other family members.
From another family member, just to keep it in the family, just so that it didn't go to developers, it didn't
Right.
get demolished.
Yep.
And then you said that that's kind of when you fell in love with the farming aspect. So how did
Right.
that happen? What happened there?
I guess for me, it was just thinking about all the past family members that lived here. And I don't know if the past generations were farmers in the way that we think about farmers. Like, I don't know if they sold crops or anything. Garrett's shaking his head no.
No, they didn't.
But you
They
know
were
they had a
homesteaders.
farm.
They just
had to.
That's right.
That's
Yeah.
how you ate.
Yeah.
Everybody had chickens and a dairy cow and lots of gardens and things, especially out here, because this was way out in the country back then.
Right.
So there was generation after generation grew their food here and raised their family here, and we wanted to bring that back to this place and do the same thing of raise as much of our food as possible, and of course raise our children here. We homeschool, and so homesteading and the homeschool are perfectly married. And
Did either of you grow up farming or homesteading or anything like that?
I would help my grandmother, around here, and we'll just loathed it. Used to be a garden down across the street, and I went and picked green beans. I picked every green bean. She said, "Help me pick green beans." I don't want to. I want to watch cartoons, right? I picked every green bean, every one. I picked the old big long one. I picked the itty bitty one that was going to be good next week. She got mad at me and she said, "Just go sit in the car." And I still feel horrible about that, because she passed when I was 14, and she never got me, not to see me grow up and be a good person. So, I could have been, as far as she knew before she passed, I was going to be a crappy person, but I turned out pretty good. So.
You went from not picking the right green beans to farming this place.
Oh yeah.
I think she'd be pretty happy.
Oh, she's
about
up there.
that.
She's
She
very
would be.
happy. She's very proud. Yeah.
She would be.
So that's the only experience you guys have really had. Did you have any like garden?
I mean,
experience or
my mom used to have a garden, and I remember her making marinara sauce.
Okay.
Homemade marinara sauce, like in the summer,
Uh-huh.
But we didn't have animals. I mean, we had pets, but no animals. And I think she still doesn't understand why we do this. This is just beyond her. Like, why would you can?
You just go buy it at the store.
Exactly. Just go get it at the store. So, she's, she had the garden, but wasn't into farming at all.
So I'm just curious. Then you had the inspiration from the house, the family land, but why? I mean, like you said, you could have just turned it into a bed and breakfast. You could have just made it a historical piece even, but you chose to homestead here. Why?
Right. And, I think we genuinely like the lifestyle of it. Like, I love to garden. I love to get my hands dirty. We love the projects. We're getting ready to build a new chicken and rabbit house on the other side of the house. We like that aspect. We like being outside. We get really excited when we get to eat our own food. And most of our food comes from our farm. Vegetables, our meat, some of our fruits. And we home make everything that we eat. I guess we started out small. We started out with just chickens. The gateway drug.
Yeah, always.
We got chickens, and we actually got chickens back. We were still living at our old house. So we bought the farmhouse, and then we got chickens kind of at the same time, but in our minds, they weren't really related yet. In that same time, so we had no pets at our old house. No pets at all. I mean, maybe a fish. That was it.
Yeah.
And then within 2
pond.
weeks, so this was 7 years ago, almost to the day actually, April of 17, within a 2-week time span, we got 2 cats to live here at the farmhouse. We got 17 chickens. Garrett's mother died, and we found out we were pregnant with our second baby after trying for a couple years. Those were the tumultuous 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And it's like we imprinted on the chickens, and we just kept buying chickens. And then within 6 months from that, we had started a garden way smaller than this.
This is a big garden.
It's a big garden.
5,000 square foot she's got.
Yeah. Yes, that's enough.
That's enough.
Yeah, when we finally put the fence in, I was like, it's no bigger.
That's the boundary.
Yes,
It doesn't come
cannot
out of the
go
boundary.
any further.
And now we're building raised beds.
Yeah. Yeah, so within 6 months from that, we decided we'd started a garden, we'd moved the chickens here, we'd gotten into permaculture, finding about that, and realized we wanted to move our chickens around, and we decided to move into the farmhouse. So in hindsight, like, it didn't feel fast at the time, but looking back, it was like we really kind of turned our whole life around pretty quickly.
Did the stars kind of align though? It sounds like things just kind of happened and you just moved with it.
Yeah, it must have. And I will say, I have always wanted a farm.
Okay.
Yeah, so there is a little background there. My aunt and uncle used to have an organic vegetable farm in Maine. And so there were 2 summers when I was in high school, and I went and lived with them for a few weeks and helped on the farm and helped with their kids. And I definitely got the farm bug then. Spent all my 20s with no grass, nothing to plant in. I lived everywhere that did not have dirt. So then when Garrett and I started dating, one of the first things he did for me was build an herb garden at his house. So that was very exciting. You know, a semi-permanent structure at his house, and we were just dating. I was like, oh, he's serious.
It's almost like leaving a toothbrush.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
You're like,
But it was an herb.
we're serious now. He built me an herb garden.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. I know. So then when we got married, I had flowers and my herb garden, and that was it. Like, I was never going to have a farm. It was fine. Like, I got my hands dirty just enough to be satisfied.
Yeah.
And kind of really just let that dream die. Like, I was like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
And then not that long, 5 years later, literally just kind of fell into this place. But I feel like obviously it was something that I wanted to go toward.
She's looking for it. These things, you only find what you're looking for. You know, and if you're looking for trouble, you're going to get trouble. If you're going to the pantry to look for peanut butter, you're going to get peanut butter, right? If you got it. You don't know if there's jelly. You don't know if there's a pack of crackers. But you know if there's peanut butter because you're looking for it.
Yeah.
And she was looking for it, and it just started to fall into place in the right order. And that fell for me as well. I really got great memories of a homestead and family and history, and I like that a lot. But it just fell into place because she's just looking for it.
It makes me think of how people say if you buy a red car, you're
Oh,
only
Right,
going to see
yes.
red cars. If you're looking for peanut butter, you're going to find peanut butter. If you're thinking about a farm, you're going to
you'll
end
find
up
a way.
farming. I love that. Like,
Gotta
that's
have
just like I'm ruminating on that because that's just
It's fat.
Yeah.
I love it. It's very fat.
Mhm.
We were
You go
talking
to-
go.
And you open up the Bible, like in Sunday school or whatever, you open up the Bible, any verse, just like, what is it, the horoscopes? They
Right.
all apply. Because you're only going to find in that little line what you're
What you
looking
want
for.
to,
If, like,
yeah.
why did he leave me? Or why did my cat die? Or whatever. You're going to find it in that little piece of verse, and you'll find it in the Bible as well. You'll see what little piece affects you.
Yeah. We were talking about that last night, that before we have a dairy cow, and before we got a cow, we went to a homesteaders convention, and there were a lot of classes on like chickens and gardening, and we kind of felt like we had a handle on that. So we took a bunch of classes on cows, and I remember sitting next to him thinking, this is kind of silly. We're not getting a cow. Like, why are we taking classes on cows? And then we were watching actually this guy, just
Farm
a few
Pete.
acres farm, Pete.
Just a few
And he has
acres.
Dexter's, and he loves his channel, and we watch all about Dexter cows. And literally 3 months later, we bought a Dexter cow. And and I was like, you know, because we were immersed in that, and that's what we were watching, that's what we wound up living. And you know, then you start to wonder about our culture. What does everyone else watch, and what are they putting in their head, and do they find that? You know, I'm thinking negatively. You know,
Yeah.
negative things that violence and
Right.
ridiculousness on the internet. Is that what they find? So we found a cow.
They fight Great Theft Auto. We found a
Right,
cow.
right, exactly. So
It's awesome.
And so what are they going to be doing in 7 years?
yeah.
That's another little piece there. If you want to know what your future is, look at your friends. It's always a good advice for
Yeah.
children and teenagers that are lost. Well, just look at your friend.
Yeah.
And you look at our friends now, and little Charlie's like, how come every time we go to one of our buddies' house, everybody else is like on a farm and we got chickens and we don't? I'm like, well, because we get along with them people now.
Those are our friends.
We don't want to go hang out at a mansion anymore.
No, not
We are way
trying to
too dirty.
And hang out by the pool.
We don't have time for that.
Yeah.
Well, we got every weekend is full of, we got garden stuff to plant.
So let's take. Can
You
we
wanna-
look at your
yeah,
garden?
we
Let's take
can
a
go
look at
in
your
this one.
garden. It's very beautiful, though.
Thank you.
Is this a lot of work?
It is a lot of work, but I love it.
Yeah.
This is my happy place out here. You know, people will say to me like, oh, you need to go relax. You need to go get a pedicure or something. That sounds horrible. I don't want to
people
get a
touching
pedicure.
me.
I want a babysitter and leave me alone in my garden. That is relaxing to me. So this is on my spring cool weather section. And this radishes and arugula and carrots and Swiss chard that hasn't come up yet. And
Is
then
that what the burlap is for?
yeah, yeah,
Ooh,
it helps
okay.
keep it wet and moist so the seeds will germinate.
That's a good idea.
Keeps people from stepping on it because you don't know there's anything planted there.
Uh-huh.
If you and I just have to catch it in time. I can usually pull the burlap off once it starts coming up,
Gotcha.
if it's not too late. And then I've got all my broccoli and I interspace lettuce between it, so when the broccoli grows up, it'll shade the lettuce
Oh,
to
that's a
keep
good
it
idea.
cooler. And then this year, something we did different is we all this cardboard,
Oh, yeah.
cardboard and mulch. So I broad forked it and raked it all out, and then this is all cardboard with wood chips and mulch on top. So I'm really trying to not have to weed all summer.
Yeah.
And so even if this takes more time or the same amount of time in the end, this is much more enjoyable this time of year than in July. It's awful.
Okay.
The 8th year on this garden. So it's a lot better than it used to be. But
Do
it used to be
you ever
clay.
put animals out here, like
Yes.
your chickens? Okay.
Yes, the
Okay.
chickens come here in at the end of the growing season in the fall and stay here most of the winter.
Okay.
Yeah, and then as soon as we
She's
start
antsy to
working
kick
the
'em off.
soil, we get them out of here.
Now we made a mistake. I had pigs. I said, well, I'm gonna put the pigs on there.
We did the same thing.
And it made mud. Yep, just like when I saw that one video, you talked about it in your review. And it was, you've seen, what was the movie, 10 Commandments? You know, when Moses goes back and he's working the clay pit with the old man, and you just take clay and straw and water, it makes bricks.
We
And that
made
was
bricks.
awful. I had to actually, she likes to broad fork. Couldn't
even-
broad fork it. We had to get a guy in with a tiller again on a tractor
See,
to cut it.
ours, they activated the seed bed, and we couldn't control a darn thing that was growing in there, but it definitely wasn't the things we were planting in there. I mean, those weeds were this tall.
Yeah.
It was, we were like, oh, we made a mistake. Don't ever put pigs in your garden.
Nope.
And I wonder
Okay.
if that happened to us too, because like this area all here, that's all weeds.
All that?
I just haven't touched it yet.
Yeah, so those
The
thistles.
thistle.
Yeah, that big deep taproot that they've got,
Yes,
they're gonna
they're
break up that
awful.
soil because it got all compacted. So these are in here, they're like, hey, this is compacted soil, we need to break that up. And that's what they're doing. Have you ever read For the Love of Soil? Do it. It's a wonderful book. Nicole Masters is amazing, but like very scientific. But what she explains about soil and how it works and the microbes that are in there and all of the seeds that are already in there, like all of the seeds are already in the ground. They're just waiting for the right conditions to sprout.
Right.
So that's why we get broadleaf. That's why we get thistle. That's why we get milkweed some places, because the soil is telling it, hey, we need you. It's your time now.
Wow.
It's really cool.
fascinating.
You'll have to read that book.
Yeah, because
So-
I've wondered like where did this all come from? And I chalked a lot of it up to, we had our third baby in 2020,
Okay.
in September of 2020. And by that point, I was over the garden and I just let it go.
Yeah.
And I let a lot of weeds go to seed that year that I normally wouldn't have. But that was also the year we had pigs here. So maybe it wasn't my fault. Maybe it was your fault.
Yeah, it was our fault.
We're gonna
Again,
start
it's our fault.
pointing fingers here. What do you have over there? What's that?
This is actually an experiment for Charlie, our 9-year-old. We went on a homeschool trip / vacation to Williamsburg, Yorktown, and Jamestown. And I
Okay.
think it was in Yorktown, they have a Revolutionary era farm, working farm, and they grow flax. And they grow it there, and then they have a way, I don't know all the terminology yet, but to basically beat the fiber out of the flax stalk.
Okay.
And then they use that to make linen. And so when we saw that, Charlie said, well, you have to grow flax, Mom. So we're growing flax. I don't know anything about how to make it into linen. We do have a spinning wheel. That's what you get with an old house.
Yeah.
Been
Okay.
Lot
there
of-
my
lot-
whole life.
yeah.
I love it.
Most houses come with a washer and a dryer. Ours came with a spinning wheel. So we'll just see how far in the process we can go. But it's actually very pretty. So it's supposedly
is
it
very
gets
pretty.
a few feet high and it has blue flowers, and then and only takes about 3 months to grow. And then you harvest it and dry it and then work the fiber out of it.
And this is a great time. Can we get Charlie?
Sure.
I think this would be a great time to introduce Charlie. Charlie, I'm told, is quite the little entrepreneur. So she's got all of her own little business ideas, and she made a point to say that she wanted to be on camera today so that she could talk about her special business. So we'll get Charlie out here. You are quite the entrepreneur, I hear. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And so we heard about your flax. That's a good idea, but you specifically really wanted to talk about a business that you have. Do you want to show me where that is?
Yes.
Okay, let's go see this business of yours.
I'll give it a shot.
What do we have here?
These are my silkies. They're a breed of chicken. They're smaller than normal. You see those chickens? They're much smaller.
Uh-huh.
That's how big they get usually.
So that one right there, she's mature.
Well, that one's a boy.
Oh, my bad.
How you can tell
Yeah.
if there's a boy, they have like a walnut thing on their head,
Oh, I see.
and then
it
the
now.
girls don't.
I see it now. Here, maybe we can see the ones. Yeah, we can go in. Yeah, that works great. Let's get a better light for these ones. There they are. So why silkies? What did you want to do with them?
Well, one day I didn't really want chickens, but one day some people just knocked on our door. They had some, and they wanted to give them to us. So I said I would take them, and I've had some for a few years, and they just kept growing.
Wow. Are you collecting their eggs, or are you selling their chicks or anything?
Well, I do sell some of my chickens sometimes.
Okay.
If I have too many. And they're excellent moms, so right now, 2 are broody right now.
Where are they brooding at? Oh, up in their basket. I see.
They're really good moms.
Okay. How many chicks do they usually hatch out?
Well, out of 4 moms, they hatched over 20.
Wow. Were they their own eggs or just any eggs on the farm?
Well, their own eggs and a normal chicken got in there and laid her.
Okay. Very cool. That's awesome. Do you do any other projects on the farm, or is this like kind of just your thing?
It's pretty much my thing. I don't like much of the other stuff,
That's okay.
but they're pretty cool. I really like them.
That's awesome. Well, Charlie, thank you for showing me your silkies. And I told your parents this. I love seeing a kid who has an entrepreneurship bone. This is awesome. So what a cool project you have going on here. You're able to make a little bit of cash, but I think when you're older, you'll realize just how much this serves you in life. So this is awesome. What a girl that you have, though. I mean, that's awesome. She's like, I don't like any of the other chores, but I really like my silkies. Like, what a girl who knows what she wants.
Yeah.
And you guys, I'm sure you feel very proud.
Oh yeah.
And of course, she's not your only child.
Right.
But are the other kids involved at all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So our youngest, she's fearless and will do pretty much anything with me. So she loves to come out in the garden and help me. She's 3.5, so help me.
Yeah. But she loves to help.
Yeah.
So ours was born May of 2020.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So we get the same help bone
Yes.
too.
Right. But and they love playing in the garden. They love worms, and we have rabbits, meat rabbits,
Okay.
up by the house. So they're really into the baby bunnies right now.
How does Holly carry her?
Holly,
How does Holly do her bunny?
the bunny burrito. Yeah, our middle child, she's 6. She doesn't like their little claws that scratch and stuff. So
Okay.
I have to wrap it up in a bunny burrito where you only see its little head, and it's got a towel wrapped around, and she just carries the bunny around like this.
She babies that thing, and she's proud.
But the Lara, the 3-year-old, will double fist some baby bunnies and just hold them around like this and carry them in the treehouse and on the trampoline. I mean, surprised they survived.
That's hilarious, but so sweet too. I mean,
Yeah.
as adults, and with it being, your dream and something that you kind of always wanted, being able to have a farm and do these things is really cool. But then when you can incorporate your children in it, and you get to see them and how they learn through what
Yeah.
you're doing. Personally, for me, I think it was more rewarding for me than it was for myself on the farm.
I'm very jealous of my children's growing up. you
Yeah.
know. My memories here is my brother's getting his butt handed to him, for picking on me. And that's one of my biggest memories, that and a couple of little small things, but just jealous of all they get to see, the new chicks that come, and they get to the experience of getting a cow, and all the people that come over and visit and stop. I'm jealous of my children. It's just wonderful. They're dirty all the time. It's just amazing.
That's awesome.
And the good stuff they get to eat too.
Yeah.
What they love. They came up with a game, it's called Play Salad. So they get their baskets in the middle of summer and they go out in the garden and they harvest all this random stuff and they chop it up. It's like eggplant and weird things, and here you go, Mom. I made you a salad. That's so
awesome.
sweet. And it's, I'll get frustrated with them. I'm like, you're eating all my broccoli, stop that. And I'm like, wait a minute.
They're eating
Oh.
broccoli.
Right, like there are way worse things they could be doing than eating too much broccoli.
You mentioned cows, and that's where we're at, right?
Cow, yes. This is our cow, and actually we're gonna bring her in the stanchion.
Let's do it.
We are, she's drying off.
Okay.
She's gonna have a calf this late summer.
Okay.
So
I'll stand back here since she doesn't know who I am.
She's giving hardly any milk.
Hi, how are you?
She's been in milk for 3 years almost,
Wow.
which is great, but we're getting like a cup and a half a day.
Oh, so she's ready.
Yeah,
I
she's
feel you,
ready.
Mama, I'm ready too.
She identifies as a goat right now.
All right, come on. Come on in. That's all you're going to get.
The camera.
You want me to move it, honey?
Oh, there she goes.
I'll move it.
She-
Like, I'm just gonna lick it. Here, I'll move the camera, honey. Thank you, girl.
Normal.
Come here. Get in here. Get in here.
So she's a mini Dexter.
She's just a Dexter.
Oh, just a Dexter.
Just a Dexter.
Man, they are so small.
Right?
They
She
really
feels
are.
big to me, but this is the only cow. I mean,
Uh-huh.
so when we got the cow, we felt like real farmers then.
Yeah.
Because like chickens are one thing, but a big animal with horns.
Yeah, with horns. Yeah, with horns
Yeah.
specifically. How are you? Yeah, I got the camera.
You know, I'm going to ramble now for a minute.
Go for it.
You learn to walk, fall on your butt first step, second step for months, but then finally you're running, you know. And this has been part of our thing. One of the other things besides her wanting dirt, we like to build things. I like to be crafty. And so my second stanchion actually got to be good because the first one I had to make before I even had the cow, and I had to just guess so I could get a head gate and make it and look and read and do the research on that was a lot of fun. Then when we finally built the pole barn and got perimeter fencing and stuff, then I got to build it right, you know, buried them in the ground and get my math right almost, and it fits. And then I made it a little bit bigger so we could have a larger cow if we did, but the learning as you go, not putting the pigs on the garden.
Yeah.
Keep the pigs back here with a good dry bedding so the neighbor don't want to shoot you. 'Cause he's really close to the pigs and I'm not. All those little learning curves was just so much fun. So now it's a permanent and that's good, but I had to learn up there so we could do it here.
So this isn't your first stanchion.
Correct, this is my second one. Yep,
Okay.
Yep.
We generally build things about 3 times before we
I feel
like
that.
it.
I feel like that's pretty normal.
Yeah, we've had 3 chicken coops and we're on our getting ready to do our 3rd rabbit setup. You generally the first time you do it, you just have to start.
Yeah.
Just start somewhere.
Because there's so much information out there on different types and methods and plans and organization and all the things, but they don't always fit to you. Your person, your farm, your physical, like geographical location. It's all dependent on who you are. And I like this stanchion. This is a nice stanchion. Using the big log posts.
Right. Yep.
Is
Just
good.
get it solid.
And then
and then freestanding too, you know, so I don't have it tethered. Our barn, we wanted to be able to be mobile with it. You know, so we can change this if we need to. Now, yeah, this is a little bit permanent, but
Right.
I can change it. It's not like it's tethered to the outer structure of it.
Right.
And that's why we did a pole barn. So depending on, because we realized at this point, we don't know what next animal we're going to get. You know, we
Right.
didn't know we were getting a cow. So, you know, if there's sheep or goats or other things in our future, we can use cattle panels and T-posts and make stalls and pens however big or small we need to and just move them around. So nothing's set in stone.
Right. So you said that she's been in milk for 3 years. You're about to dry her off. Is she pregnant?
Yes.
Okay, so she's about to calve.
Yes, and end of July, early August.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome.
We're excited with that.
Well, she seems very friendly, and she
She's
obviously
pretty
enjoys
friendly.
the stanchion.
Yeah.
And that's why we're gonna keep bringing her into the stanchion, even though we're not milking her. When we bought her pregnant, so she had her
3 years
second
ago, yeah.
calf on the farm, and we, being new cow owners, didn't really know how to handle her well, and she didn't want us near the calf or near her,
Yeah.
and she has horns, so
Yeah.
we said, okay,
Yeah.
you can have the baby.
Right.
So we ended up having to sell the calf at about 5 weeks just so we could get near her to milk her, because that's why we got her, was
Gotcha.
for the milk, and we
Yeah.
couldn't get near her. So we're hoping this time, since we are 3 years experience and she's comfortable with us,
Right.
that when she calves, we'll be able to still bring her in and milk her.
Yeah.
So our plan is to bring her in the stanchion, still have that habit every day.
Yeah.
So after the baby, hopefully she'll still just come right on in.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think she would be fine. I've seen some people do calf sharing, and I've heard for some people it works and for some
Yeah.
people it doesn't. And I just think that it comes down to what you are able to do with your animal. And I agree with you. I think that this will be very helpful.
Yeah, that's what we wanted to do, was do the calf sharing.
Yeah.
But we couldn't, there was no way to separate
We had
them
no
every day
infrastructure.
either. Woo, that sounds horrible.
And she probably hadn't been milked before.
She had, but very limited.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, and we didn't have a barn. We had her in the little, outside of that little carport.
Oh, okay.
We didn't have a outside fence, so we had just 2 wires.
Gotcha.
And she did escape once and ran down the road.
Oh, no.
It was a long,
We
it was
learned.
20 minutes, but it was the longest 20 minutes of my life.
I hate it when cows get out.
I know.
It's the
Especially
worst.
here. There's a lot of traffic here.
Yeah.
And it's like 5 o'clock and the cow's running down,
Oh.
charging down the road.
Well, so it was. So she had gotten in the heat again, and we'd never been around a cow, and she started getting in the heat. And you know, everybody gets crazy when they go in the heat. And so we timed all that up, and
Yeah.
we fixed that. We got old
Good.
Jake to come back in November, and he did a little service for us.
How was it your first time milking?
My first time milking, it was exciting, honestly. She did great. She only kicked me like the 3rd or 4th time, so the first time was actually really good. We drove up to Virginia. We rented a horse trailer
Okay.
and drove about 5 or 6 hours into Virginia to get her, and then drove back. And she had a calf, an older calf with her. So I knew that we needed to milk her. So when we got home, I was like, okay, we got to do this.
Right.
And I put her in
Somehow.
the stable, and we got her tied in, and it worked.
The guy that we bought her from, he gave us a really short tutorial, showed us how to do it. So I'd seen it, and I guess I probably tried it when I was at his farm, and that was it. And then she kicked me, and then we started tying her leg back, which we still do.
Yeah.
It's just easier.
Yeah.
And she's fine with it. We don't. That was one of our big issues, just learning curve with the cow. Is from the beginning she wants to be boss cow. And
She was a boss cow.
And she was boss cow
Okay.
with her herd, and there's no other cows here, and so she tries to be bossy with us.
Yeah. that makes
And
sense.
from the very beginning, honestly, that scared me so much.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know how to handle a cow. We did not put her in her place as soon as we should have.
Gotcha.
So the vision of the cow that you cuddle with and hug, she and I are not on that place.
Yeah.
We're cool now,
Right.
but we don't go out and just hang out in her area.
I think that that's okay, though. Yes, there are cows that are very cuddly, but those actually are the dangerous cows.
Right, true.
So having a cow where you both know your place, you both know what to expect from each other. Hey, this is my house and that's your house.
Mm-hmm.
You can milk me and then you feed me.
Right,
And
that's
that's the
fine.
agreement, and,
Yeah.
and we're good with that. I would rather a cow like that. And I like how you guys respect that for her. And horns can be scary, for sure. So.
Right, yeah.
I think a lot of people have their own opinions on horns, but
Yeah. In
looks
hindsight, I wish she didn't have horns. Honestly, I didn't even notice she had horns in the picture. We went
She
to
was
go
a
get her.
cow.
It was just a cow. And she's A2. I'm lactose intolerant. So that was a big
okay,
draw
sweet.
to get her.
Yeah. Oh, is this your brooder?
Yeah, these are
Okay,
our
we got
two.
two there.
Your brooder.
So what happens is we used to brood the little chicks in the garage, and they just make a big, massive, dusty mess. So now, 6 years later, we have infrastructure. Actually, it's on its 4th time being used. So now we have small brooders.
Yeah.
So you can segment.
Yeah.
You can get turkeys, smaller chicks, bigger chicks, and being able to redo it a 3rd and 4th time. Now we're getting places with infrastructure
Yeah.
that it's actually functional and purposeful. Pull the bottoms out, clean them out.
Yeah.
It's actually, I can break it down flat all the way if I wanted to, like a breakdown cabinet. I'm just happy as crap with this.
That
And it's
is a
right
good
in the
idea.
middle of this. It just offers a barrier.
Yep.
Very mobile and portable. Jonathan loves that. So
It's not out of the way so that you accidentally forget about them sometimes.
Right.
They're right here.
And they can stay in here until it's time to go in a regular coop or a chicken tractor.
Right.
When we used to start them out, we put them in a baby pool in the garage.
Okay.
But
That's
they
only
can
3
only
days.
stay there a little bit and they start jumping out. And then we would come up with these unusual contraptions on trailers with walls and,
suspended from the garage.
yeah,
and no
and then you
cars
can't
in
use
there.
your trailer
Uh-huh.
because it's full of chicken.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just being mobile in the open barn system is wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how many animals do you raise a year?
Different types or count?
All of different types. You can do count.
I mean,
too
we
if you
did 6 pigs last year.
want. Okay.
We raised 100 meat birds.
Yep.
We always have about 50 to 80 layers, chicken layers. We have
We
6
did
rabbits that we breed. So we have 6 rabbits and 14 baby rabbits right now.
Wow.
And we'll breed them at least one more time this year.
And you harvest them as well?
Mhm.
That's awesome.
And then we did turkeys.
Yeah,
we did
yeah.
maybe
Yeah, we had the white,
10
the
or
large
15.
white giant. And those,
white-breasted.
God, those are. I finally got the good bronze-breasted now. They're more durable.
Yeah.
And I had an awful time last year, but we got the turkeys too, and they'll come through this system later after you clean it out real good. 'Cause they're
Right.
so.
Do you, with only having 3 acres, how do you like stagnate your animals, or do you? Like with having turkeys and pigs and a cow and then meat chickens and then rabbits.
Right. We use a lot of our space. So
Okay.
we have tried to go through and think about the landscaping we have that just was here. Like, is it serving a purpose? Is it helping us? And if it's not, we're getting rid of it and replacing it with something that can raise an animal or grow something we can eat.
Yeah.
So like by the road line, which you can't really see, there used to be some tall pine trees, like
Oh, okay.
which is really tall, and they were like half trees because the power company would come through and cut off the one side. So they just weren't that pretty. They weren't really helping. They were giving us morning shade. So we cut those down and then we planted a whole row along the row of blueberry bushes.
Oh.
So I'm hoping for like a blueberry hedge.
Okay.
So I get some road noise
Yeah.
and some privacy there,
Yeah.
and blueberries,
Yeah.
right? So we have our pig brooder here, and then all across through the woods is where the pigs stay.
Okay.
And we move them down through the woods.
Do you sell any of the meat that you guys have, or is it just for yourselves?
Yes, we do sell pork shares,
Okay.
and we sell a lot of eggs, and we sell whole chickens, whole frozen
Okay.
chickens. Some of them,
How
not
do
a
you
ton.
do the pork shares?
Just people that we know. Well, you speak more on that.
Well, so the butcher that I used to like would come on the farm and dispatch here. And now that he's changed over, all the pressures and everything.
Yeah.
And they've changed over, what's it called? Whatever, yeah.
I don't know what you're saying.
Like
Whatever.
a processing facility?
Well, yeah, but so it's a regular processing facility, but I'll find somebody that wants to, I'll start selling it. I'll
Okay.
take sausage with me to a job or work or a social
Okay.
event and say, try that, because you ain't never had none, So you just find somebody that wants the pork,
Yeah.
and then you make the agreement, and then they get to do their own cut sheet, and they'll pick out how they want it processed, if they want 1.5-inch pork chops, or they want thin ones, or if they all want just sausage, they want
Right.
it medium, hot, chorizo. So it gives them a lot of autonomy.
Right.
And then the belly, then nobody knows what to do with the belly. And
Nobody.
finally got me a smokehouse. I've made me a little smokehouse up here now,
Nice.
and it is, it's so good.
It smells so good.
Oh, yeah.
When he's smoking that bacon, I'm like, Garrett, I am trying to work out here.
You're making the mouth water. That's awesome.
But to kind of answer your earlier question about like how do you manage all these moving?
Yeah.
Like we will run our rabbits, our young rabbits through the front yard. So we have fruit trees in the front yard, very young fruit trees.
Okay.
And we have a rabbit tractor that runs around the fruit trees, and our turkey tractor will go up there too. So we don't think of our yard as like landscaped, right? Or where grass that we just want to mow because it's pretty. All of it we want all of it to serve a purpose, because
Yeah.
with only 3 acres it has to.
Absolutely.
So Gracie has her section here.
And it looks like you rotate her
We
back
do.
and forth.
Back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's really not that much space. And then the layers will kind of move around the yard. Garrett is complaining that we're going to have to start moving them into the neighbor's yard because we keep adding stuff and running out of space.
I really don't have enough room to put all the chickens.
Yeah.
And to really move them. And that's why we're doing a stagnant. We're doing a racking house like Salatin, with the rabbits inside and chickens under, and a lot of ventilation, because we want to have chickens that are for the community. Everybody says, my chicken's all dead, and I ain't got any more layers. I want a couple.
But they don't want to brood them.
And the
Yeah.
Latinos want that country chicken,
Yeah.
and they don't want the big one, the big Cornish cross. They want the thin-breasted razor breast.
Right.
And so we're having that way I have more chickens, but they're going to stay confined in that the old pig port.
Okay.
Why don't we walk up?
Yeah.
that
Sure.
way?
Yeah, let's see. And you say confined, but it's open air.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's
It just doesn't
weird.
move.
it's a
Yeah.
stagnant
Right,
chicken house.
right.
Yeah, it doesn't move.
What are you said at a job, so you have an off-farm job.
Correct, yes.
Okay, what do you do then?
I'm an electrical contractor.
Okay, okay. And are you on the farm full time with the kids?
No.
You have an off-farm job as well.
I do. I try to be very part-time. I have an accounting business.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
How do you manage that then? I said we're coming towards the end of the video, but I don't think we're there yet because that's a lot to manage. You have a giant garden, you have a lot of animals, especially in the summertime. You homeschool your kids, and you both have off-farm jobs.
Yeah, yeah. It's a lot
Yeah.
sometimes. And I'm still not, I don't know that I'm handling it all the time.
Okay.
I guess when we started homeschooling, when COVID,
Yeah.
you know, and when I started homeschooling, I had a 5-year-old, a 2-year-old, and I was pregnant. That's easy homeschooling. Now we're 9 and our oldest is 9.5, and my 3-year-old's determined to tear up the house when we homeschool. So it's becoming a lot more. So I've definitely had to drop down my work hours.
Yeah.
It's you know, during outside of tax season, it's only about 10 hours a week.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's too much.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can. I mean, you can, but I don't know if you can keep your sanity
Yeah.
and wear those 3 hats to work almost full time, to homestead and homeschool.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people do 2 of those well.
Yeah.
It's hard to do all 3.
Yeah.
I am able to work from home a lot, so that helps. But if I had to choose, I would choose the homeschooling and the homesteading for
Yeah.
sure.
So then and if you don't feel comfortable answering it, it's fine. But do you have to have off-farm jobs to make this work?
The way it's just so much easier.
Yeah.
You know, farming with money instead of for money. You know, when you got
I
to do
love
it, it's a lot easier
Yeah.
now. I could go turn my light on. I'm sole proprietor. You know, just me, just a one-man band with some buddies that I need them, and I can turn that light on and I can go work really, really hard, or I can get into the no position and say, nope, I can't do it today. It's too pretty and it's dry, and I can split some wood, you know?
Yeah.
And then tomorrow when it's raining, I can go work inside that garage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't have to go show up somewhere 40 hours a week. I can turn my light on or off, kind
Yeah.
of like an Uber driver.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's how it works for me.
Yeah, and I'd say we probably could do this without both of us working, but we don't want to.
Okay.
We
I like that.
yeah, we don't want to go to a single income family, because then he wouldn't be able to take those farm days off.
Yeah.
I feel like if I stopped working, then he's going to have much more pressure on him to be out there every day of the week making money, where he can kind of pull back and be farmer. And I need his help here. Like, I don't want to do it by myself.
Right. You don't want to be out there cutting wood.
No, I do not.
Now, think about this though. You asked, you know, could we do it without an off-site job, you know? And the other fun thing is to know that we could. If there was not work for us, if we had our next COVID and the world shuts down, then this place just going to get even tighter. And
Yeah.
we'll have our food because we've got all this protein, we've got all this greens, and it's re-nourishing and growing again.
You say you'll be okay if you have to, but in the
Yeah.
meantime,
But
you don't have
we
to.
enjoy being
Right.
able to have our off-site income and the satisfaction of our careers. I enjoy my career, and I'm always going to be an electrician.
Yeah.
You know, she could drop, her accounting, it's
Yeah.
not her love of her life, but it makes money. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the other thing, just for us personally, is we have 3 young children and we're older parents. So we have like childcare and raising children costs, and retirement is not that far away for him. But I just feel like we're not at a point where we would want to
Yeah.
not work.
I love that. And I also think that it's important to be so self-aware that you're like, yeah, we probably could make it, but we don't have to make it if we don't have to. While we can. And that's a whole lot of words that don't make sense, but
I got it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I like what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think if someone else were going to ask, like, how would you homestead and work, finding a trade that you can do on your own, like we both own our businesses.
Right.
So we can set our own schedule. Like he was saying, if we're like, no, I don't want to work, I want to cut down my hours, like I have, down to 10 hours a week.
Right.
We can do that. But also the hourly rate that we can get doing accounting and electrical is pretty good.
Yeah.
So you don't have to work 40 hours a week, as long as, you know, we don't have we have old cars, and we buy consignment clothes. Like, there's a lot of stuff that we pinch pennies on.
Right.
But we'll drop some money on our house and our farm.
A
Like, that's what we
grinder.
love. We
And
don't,
what?
A
a
meat
grinder.
Oh, a meat
grinder.
grinder. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We don't really travel. Like, there's a lot of stuff we don't
Yeah.
spend money on. And so it works out.
Yeah, I love that. I have learned so much from you guys. Thank you for just offering to come out here. It was just a phone call, and I'm a stranger, and I'm like, hey, can I come to your farm and film it? And you're like, yeah, absolutely. The community that we are visiting has the same thought, and you sharing your story and your personal experiences is amazing and humbling and inspiring, really. So thank you both so much for having me out here and allowing me to just ask a bunch of questions.
You're very
That
welcome.
was great. Thank you.
Very welcome.
Being here is so cool. The history that's here, the family that's here, but then what they're doing is just, it really is inspiring. And I love what they said at the end there, that they could make it work, but they don't want to have to make it work. And I think that that's really important and something that I honestly am coming to terms with, and why I'm glad that we're on this journey to learn these things, because that's not a mindset I had when we were farming back in Indiana. But I gotta say before we leave that Garrett saying you find what you're looking for, that is just quote worthy. And I'm gonna be ruminating on that for a long time. I hope you are too. I really enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed this tour and meeting them. I hope you did as well. Come along with me next time. We have plenty and plenty and plenty of more farms to go see.